Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dudes Watch a Movie podcast number 15. I am your co-host, whichever decides to be during this filming process of whatever movies you decide to pick. Dead Sprocket. Joined with
Victorious J&G.
Dramatic pauses. Thank you for everyone who was on our Facebook page. I know I spammed a bit of you towards the end there. I usually post a poll towards the beginning of the month for next month's theme. Usually have up until the 25th. I might cut that date a little earlier just so that we have more time to edit and shoot. That being said, I appreciate all 64 of you who voted. At first, it was like only 10 people, and it was looking like Oscar movies, which isn't a big deal. But after all of you finally hit that button, it looks like 58% of you voted for FeBREWary, hence the brew and the movie. So we decided to watch, as I post on the Facebook page, The World's End. One of my favorites. I've seen it before, so this might break our habit of watching movies we haven't seen and, whatever. But I didn't want to go I didn't want to go the basic generic route of watching, like, Beer Fest.
Yeah.
That movie was
not good.
Yeah, no. So, that being said, I chose...
Too obvious,
Yeah, it's just like Beer Fest, Gotta hit him with the sneaker, right? Maybe is that how it goes? No, fair enough. Anyway, World's End plot reads as follows: Gary King, played by Simon Pegg, and is an immature 40-year-old who's dying to take another stab at the epic pub crawl that he last attempted 20 years earlier. He drags his reluctant buddies back to their hometown and sets out for the night of heavy drinking. As they make their way towards ultimate destination, the fabled World's End pub, Gary and his friends attempt to reconcile their past and present. However, the real struggle is for the future, when their journey turns into a battle for mankind. That sums it up.
Yeah.
This movie was released August 23rd, 2013. So, yeah.
Cool.
It's not terribly old, but I didn't think it was that old.
That might be the newest movie we've watched.
You're right.
I think it is. Well, when did Blood Rain come out? Ooh.
We just won't talk about that.
I'm trying to watch that from my memory still.
Need some bleach.
Yeah.
And just in case you guys care, Oliver Chamberlain, I'll read you the characters and who plays him. Oliver Chamberlain's played by Martin Freeman from Lord of the Rings.
And?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
There it is.
I'm getting good at this. Peter Page is played by Eddie Marsan. I've never seen him before. Steve Prince, Patty Considine, Andy Knightley, Nick Frost, and Gary King, Simon Pegg. Everybody else is kind of, I'm not going to say irrelevant. They're important in the story. However, not a lot of story revolves around them. Sam's in there.
There it is.
I can't remember who she's played by.
I was gonna say, leaving out the one girl cast member. Geez, sexist.
The story didn't focus on her. She just came in and came out and came in.
She's a very integral part of the plot. Thank you very much. Strong, independent woman who don't need no man named Gary King.
We'll always have the disabled.
Yeah. Is this... I think this would be our first movie that also has a returning actor from another movie with Martin Freeman.
Okay, yeah.
And this time, instead of being the main character, he's a supporting cast member, but still our first crossover, cross connection, however we'd like to refer to that as.
Boy, if we keep doing this, we're gonna have so many of those. We're gonna have like a Kevin Bacon scale.
Or not. We could purposely never do it again.
You would go out of your way to do that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I have a problem. I'm on the spectrum sometimes. Anyways, Martin Freeman rules is one of my notes. Every movie he's in, he's super good. I have yet to see him in anything bad, including The Office. He was in the British version of The Office.
Yep. I watched only like 2 episodes of that. That's hard. It's hard to get through. Especially when you watch all of the US version about 4 different times all season.
Yep. Edgar Wright directed this movie.
That he did.
fantastic. One of my maybe favorite director of all time. That can't be. It could be though.
Judging by some of his movies that I looked up, I would
He's
have
in
to
the-
agree. He's
he's
got
in
a lot of really
top-
good films.
Top 5 or top 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of his little touches to the movie. The quick cuts where things dramatically jam together, even though they're kind of mundane things, like pouring the beer to do his transitions.
It's so simple, but it looks so good.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that is when we did it in our old films in 2011, that quick cut of the guns and stuff. Like, it was so easy to do, but it looks so good.
Yeah, it's just it's a interesting visual way of transitioning scenes and telling the story. He also has his patented, I'm going to tell you every single thing that's going to happen in this movie in the very beginning, and then it's going to happen, and it's still going to be good.
And then kind of continues on towards the end.
Yep. One thing I did notice from this movie versus the other two entries in the trilogy, being Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, is this one clearly has the biggest budget of the three.
Oh, yeah. Clearly.
And there's a bit more, especially the beginning bit when it's showing the different lives of your cast. They it seems a bit more Hollywood, for lack of a better term, a bit more like your standard movie would have. But he manages to keep the rest of his little intricacies in there, and by the end of it, that's kind of gone out the window, and it's all back to what you would think of as an Edgar Wright movie.
It's like he includes the prologue and the epilogue of his films.
He also continues his fantastic taste in music. Every movie he has a great soundtrack, whether it's this, Baby Driver, everyone was talking about how good the soundtrack was in that. Hot Fuzz is probably the weakest of the bunch to me.
Oh, yeah, I honestly can't remember any songs from there.
No, it's the only one that escapes my memory right now, but I'm sure if we watch it, I'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds good. That's a good song.
The first thing I always remember, kill the queen.
Or the better. Dibba, 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 dibba. Yep. There's some doors in this movie, which I know a certain whole nother level would appreciate. Yeah. There's just... I don't know that there was anything bad about this movie, if we can just jump right into that bit. Everything about this movie clicks in some form or another with a part of me that I'm like, man, that was good.
I hate to say some of it feels relatable, because when I think of the relatable part, it's kind of towards the end there where, I mean, without jumping towards the end, just that you have this and I have this, where, you know, that you get to that point in your life, like in your late 20s, where you're just like, where am I and why?
Yep.
But needless to say, a lot of the part that I also relate to is the reminiscing of good times. I mean, yeah, when you're younger, it's easier because you got less responsibilities. But like, I think it's those aspects of the film that I have a tendency to grip towards and really kind of sink into.
Say, I've got in there that Gary hurts to watch.
Yeah,
like
it's a little cringy, but not cringy bad. Like,
it starts out kind of funny, but still a little sad, where he still has the same car. He's got the same exact mixtape in that car. And he's just like, yeah, let's party, and we're gonna do it all again. And I'm just like,
20 years of not letting it go.
Yeah. And normally you think about that with the like superstar quarterback jock. You don't think about it with the weird cool kid.
Yeah, usually they're the ones that go off and do stuff.
But the whole movie is just, he's really, it just bums me out. He's funny, like obviously he's funny in this movie, but like all I could think the whole time is back in the beginning when he's in that like group therapy session, and then towards the end when he doesn't want to show him the scar on his arm, it's like, that dude tried to kill himself.
Right.
100% tried, and you can kind of see the bandages later, and they've got the outpatient wristband thing on him. I'm just like, God, that bums me the fuck out.
Yeah. No, just that it's the saddest part of a hilarious movie. Like, would you consider it like a dark comedy at that point?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I honestly, I feel like that's kind of another Edgar Wright trope, is that his movies inherently are a lot of times comedies. There's always that one aspect of it that's super sad. He's not afraid to go into the dramatic area. There's always, and especially in this one, a scene between the main characters having some sort of argument or conflict that gets super sad. Shaun of the Dead, when he's got to kill his mom, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, And in this one, he's it's their bar fight at the end where they're arguing and all that stuff. I'm like, oof, but you guys buds.
Heavy feels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps though that when you start with Shaun of the Dead, you know those two are best friends. You go to another movie that's their best friends. Like, even though it's not the same universe, you know that those two characters are going to be best friends, at least in some form or another. Also, what this movie did really well is kind of tickling you with the idea of what happened between Gary and Andy.
Yep.
Like, it really
They keep mentioning
like, oh, is he okay with
the
this?
accident.
And you kind of just want to find out more. It does a really good job of pulling you in.
That's one of the moments to me after seeing it so many times that it sticks out a lot. Where I'm not the biggest fan of it, but in hindsight of the first viewing, it's one of those things that'll perk your ear, like the accident, what you talking about. But now that I know what happens to it, I'm like, they're really hitting it over the head that something happened between them. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. You have to do that in a first viewing. You can't expect everyone to know everything immediately.
Not at all.
And
Before
then
we part from that duo, I was going to say, would Nick Frost and Simon Pegg remind you of the British version of David Spade and Chris Farley?
No.
No?
No.
Why?
Because I assume in this respect, you were saying that Chris Farley would be Nick Frost and David Spade would be Simon Pegg.
Yeah, but I think their personalities have been kind of flip-flopped.
I think they've got more range, and
yes, obviously.
I think they're definitely.
But I mean, like, as a comedy duo.
I would say probably closer to like the American version of Seth Rogen and maybe James Franco, because they both flip-flop back and forth between who's the outlandish one and who's the more quote-unquote adulty one of the group, depending on which project they're doing.
Or I suppose Chris Farley sticks with the kiddish and David Spade's always the uppity guy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel you. Okay.
Sometime we should figure out who the greatest comedy duo of all time is, because those three are up there. Also, oh no, drawing a blank. Panic. Help me out. Willy Wonka? I know, right?
Oh, you're talking about...
and the comedian.
Fuck.
I know. Why can't we think of their name?
The guys that See No Evil, Hear No Evil?
Yes.
And...
yeah. Richard Pryor and Willy Wonka.
You guys are going to kill us with this.
Spend too much time on it. But those two,
yes.
Every movie they did together with Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder
and Richard Pryor. Every movie they did together I really liked as well.
Agreed.
There is, and I guess I have some notes about that in here too. I like that they flipped the dynamic between the two of Nick Frost and Edgar Wright. In Hot Fuzz, they're both kind of losers to a degree. Like Simon Pegg's character has his stuff a bit more together.
He's an anal loser.
Yeah. Gross. Then in Hot Fuzz, he's like the super badass, super competent. And then Nick Frost is kind of the dopey sidekick. And then in the third one, they finally flip it around where Nick Frost is the one that's got his shit together. He's the adult. He's the one that takes charge. And then Simon Pegg plays the affable character who's just kind of not really progressing past the age of maybe 18, I would think.
Yeah.
He's the one doing a lot of the slapstick stuff.
Yeah, I gotta go ask my wife, Vanessa. Who's that? My wife. Vanessa. Oh, Vanessa.
I did like the running gag of him. It's a good dissection of the English language and how badly it sucks that you can ask a question that can be answered in multiple different ways depending on how you receive it. He always receives it wrong, so he gives back the answer no one wants. I thought it was hilarious every time. He's kind of thick.
Yeah,
in the
thick-headed,
skull,
for sure.
But he's also dangerously quick.
Yes,
with his retorts and his responses. Clever. Yeah,
it's like I'm sick. I gotta see the doctor. Oh, Dr. Ink. Dr. Ink? Drink, you get it?
Yeah. It's like, why couldn't you apply that to everything in your life? And you'd be so much better off. And just as a little side bit before we get into the real crux of the entire movie. When they stop at that first place because he needs to have a piss. And he does the cocaine, which they don't show, but they definitely mention. They are all kind of sitting around talking, and you see him play Need for Speed Underground on the arcade, and that is my new dream. I would love to have that in the apartment over there somewhere, so I can just fucking
It's gonna be so loud.
Tokyo Drifter. I'll have headphones on.
It'd be so heavy too.
I know. We'll have to get 2 men in a truck to move it for us. Sponsor?
No.
And on Andy, I put in that I like his bubbling rage. Like every interaction he has with them, he's angry without letting it come up to the top. But then eventually Simon will say something. And eventually he's just like, "God damn it!" Every time I think it's funny.
Agreed.
Should we go through the list of the stops while you're pouring your... Just pour it up. I don't know why you're pouring so far away. You're going to miss all the action.
I just didn't want to be too audio. The ASMR bit.
So
Do you feel the subliminal messages? Are you thirsty yet?
I am thirsty. I do feel the subliminal messages.
I don't have any popcorn. Sorry. We got some nuts.
You got yourself a thick head there.
Ooh.
So their bar crawl, the Golden Mile, as it were, consists of 12 stops. I like that every single bar name has a callback or foreshadow to something that's going to happen in the bar itself there.
Really?
Yeah. So
Maybe
we'll go through them.
On that then.
Starts out fairly easy. I'll tell you the bars, and you try and see if we can figure out what it is.
Okay.
So the initial bar they go to is the first post.
Obviously the first stop.
Bingo. Number 2 is the Old Familiar.
I mean, other than being obviously... Oh, right, because it's... Yeah, that's the part that got me too, is it looked exactly like the first
one.
bar.
Yep.
Oh, mine's exploding here.
Number 3 is the famous cock.
Is that when he meets with Sam?
Nope.
Then I don't. Is it the old man?
Nope.
Well, shit.
The famous cock is the one they go into, and I believe is the one that he gets kicked out of because he was banned.
So he's
the famous
he's
dickhead.
The cock.
Number 4 is the cross hands.
Judging by the logo, is that when they actually start getting together to get stuff going?
That's when they first fight in the bathroom. And they're doing all their kung fu things,
Right.
which the fight scenes in this movie are very good. I don't think
not too
Edgar
over the top.
I don't think Edgar Wright gets enough credit for how good he is at choreographing action. They always talk about, his comedy is really good, but every movie, Shaun of the Dead has good action, Hot Fuzz has good action. This has really good hand-to-hand combat, because the majority of the fights in this movie are barroom brawls, for lack of a better term. Also, we do have our wrestling tie-in for this movie. During the fight in the cross hands, he rock bottoms the first guy through the toilet stall and pops his head off.
Right,
And then Andy dropped an elbow on somebody.
Yes. One hell of an elbow.
Number 5.
I like the part, though, before we get on past
Yeah.
that, when he's talking about... That's when he finds out that his mom isn't actually dead. And he's stuck on that. And he's talking there with the dead body with the head. And then after all of the fight, he comes back to it. Your mom's not dead.
I know. There's also a good touch where every time they're about to fight, the blanks hit the hand dryer to cover up the sound of the
the
fight. After that, they go to the Good Companions.
Is that when they meet Sam?
They met Sam at the Old Familiar first, I believe, and then she leaves. The Good Companions would be right after, where I think they just walk in and they all down their drink and then they walk out. If I remember right. Now I'm getting myself fuzzy. So that's when they kind of team up finally after Andy downs all their shots, and then they go to that one. Number 6 is the Trusty Servant.
Is that... No. It's the curly strawed guy, but...
No. Trusty Servant is when they talk to their drug dealer, and he goes up to him with the super secret...
the knock?
Yeah.
Because I don't do that anymore.
So he would be the Trusty Servant. After that, they go to number 7, which is the Two-Headed Dog, where they fight the twins.
Twins.
At this point,
the three ladies, but
That's the marmalade sandwich. But remember, they fight this is where they rerun into Sam and they go into the bathroom again, and she's with the twins there, and they fight out in that little patio area, and she puts the feet on her arms and they're twirling around and stuff.
Legs for arms. Yep.
Fucking get your feet off her. After that, they head over to the Mermaid, which is the nightclub like that all the kids are at.
So like the singing sirens, the three.
Okay. And one of them is the redhead.
Yep.
And you can even look on the logo there that they've got the redhead and the two blondes. It's a marmalade sandwich. Number 9 is the Beehive.
The hive mind. That's when they figure out they're all kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
That they're. Isn't it at the point where what's his face they start figuring out that he's not quite all there and he was gone already? Earphone guy.
Martin Freeman's character.
Yeah.
I don't think they know that yet. And that's another thing that I really like about this movie is it's really subtle, but the earpiece changes ears when he goes away and comes back, and then you've got his Owen back, which they reference that. But they're all really good at acting drunk, and he is clearly not drunk whatsoever. He's just leading them along. He's like, oh yes, let's go to the next one. After that, they go to the King's Head.
Is that when they meet Pierce Brosnan?
That's where they meet Pierce Brosnan, and he's kind of telling them, like, hey, whippersnappers. And that's where they bash off his head, and they find out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Number 11 is the Hole in the Wall.
No.
So that is the one that the car drives and smashes through the front of. And it comes in to save them.
Clever.
And number 12, obviously, is The World's End.
How did I not pick up on these? Jeez.
So that's their list. Amazing. That's the kind of detail that he goes into. I know. It's hey. Some of us are all on the spectrum some way or another. That's the kind of thing that really makes me like his movies, is just the attention to detail that he goes into. Like, every time you watch this movie, you can notice something new. And I don't know if I necessarily wrote down any more stuff on here. I think they were just kind of popping up to me because I was too busy watching the movie again because of how good it is. But it's that kind of detail that makes him, I would say, one of my favorites.
I agree. Now that I know that, if I were to watch it again, like, it's like getting trivia on a movie and you kind of find out more about it. Like, oh, known facts. And then you watch it and like, wow, that's like, when I think of something like that and I think back to me, if I were to make a film, I don't even think I'd ever think something so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how you have the mind to go that into detail about it. Something that I work on a lot is trying to figure out, especially when I was like DM and stuff, is like, what kind of foreshadowing can you do? And how can you wrap this up?
That's fair.
I also like that the final stand in a pub has come full circle from Shaun of the Dead. And even technically in Hot Fuzz, there's a standoff in a pub. But the other thing that hit me this time that I never thought before is the movie as a whole is kind of, and I might be stretching a bit on this one, but for Simon Pegg's character, is like a very drawn out version of double vision. Like when you get so drunk that you see two things. So every single thing that happened to them previously, when he goes over in the beginning, happens again. Except for now he's seeing it through a slightly contorted lens. I don't know if that's a metaphor or not for being drunk, or if that's just me back to the spectrum. There were some other things that I decided this time. And I was kind of thinking as I was typing this in there that, again, probably looking too far into it, but then there's something that happens at the end that kind of helped me solidify that idea, and I'm going to stick with it. The survivors, or the group themselves, are a party.
Yeah.
So, like a D&D party. So, Andy would be an angry barbarian. The whole time he's just brawling with people and using brute force for everything. Steve would be the noble fighter, so he comes back to save them. And he always jumps in to help the other, like when they're fighting in that patio area. Pete is the nerdy wizard. Like he's kind of slunking away, but then when it's his turn to go off on someone, he goes off on that guy with the stick.
Ooh, that was
which would be his staff in this situation. Sam is the inspiring bard. So she is the one that is kind of, especially with Steve, making the emotional trigger for him to kind of turn things around and kind of fully man up and things like that. And then Gary would be the edgelord rogue.
The edgelord rogue. With that sort of little coat he's got.
Yep. The network is the DM. And at the end when they're having the argument with the flashing light, that's them arguing over the rules, and the DM loses that argument. He's just like, you know what, fine, whatever, have it your way.
It's a good way to think of it.
And then at the end, it shows them walking with the swords, and he's got the guitar like a bard would have.
Solidifies it.
Yep. And I was like, fuck yeah. Something I would never have thought previously, because D&D was not something that I did when I watched this previously. And that, I feel like I'm talking a lot now, but that ties into another note I have, in which I'll throw it your way after this. I initially saw this movie and did not like it as much as Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from my inexperience with sci-fi movies and tropes. Obviously, zombies was huge, still is huge, technically.
It's not played out anymore.
Yeah, I would agree. So those tropes and jokes in Shaun of the Dead were easy to pick up on, and references. Hot Fuzz, I saw a shit ton of action movies, so that was an easy one to pick up on. There's not a whole lot of sci-fi movies. It literally took me till this time to think, oh, there's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. Yep. Basically. I mean, one thing I kind of noticed with a lot of the movies that have the two in there, it's always them versus the town, it seems like.
Yeah,
there's always some sort of quirk with the town that is off. Like even in the beginning of this film, like it wasn't too obvious, but as you went on, you kind of started picking up little tidbits where the town just seemed a bit off. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was kind of staring. I mean, the same goes with Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Granted, they turned into zombies, but I mean, it's just
still technically the town.
Yeah. So it's the two best friends. And I mean, in this case, there's more, but like it's just against the whole town itself. Which, I didn't quite see happening my first viewing of the movie. And like you said, when I first watched it, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Mm. But after watching more and more sci-fi films, like it grew on me, needless to say.
It's not that it was bad by any means the first time I saw it, but I was just so excited for this one that I felt a little let down. Like I was like, it's still funny, but it wasn't as good as those other two. And now when I watched it, I'm just like, no, just as good.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz, I think, still my favorite, but this one's right up there.
Agreed.
Anything else that like stuck out to you that you want to go over?
The movie has a lot of great quotes.
Oh, tons.
Ones that I got. It's our basic human right to be fuck ups. To err is to human. So err, which I lost my shit on. It's pointless arguing with you. Fuck it. Several times said to Gary King. And we'll always have the disabled and drink up the Bobo. Boo boo. Right. Boo-boo. It's boo boo.
Boo boo.
I spelled it wrong. Thanks, notes. I did like the little clever inclination that you pointed out when they get to the world's end. The two signs on the back say, "Welcome, join our club." Mm-hmm. It's like the robots are trying to subtly tell, "Hey, come on, let's be together." They did include the infamous jumping over the fence scene.
Yep.
Like every single movie.
They got the ice cream in there too.
Those little bits. I love that they add that. They sprinkle that in there. I don't want to say it's like fanfare or what is it? Fan service?
See, to a degree, I would say it is probably fan service. But in the same respect, it is they clearly stated that they wanted it to be a trilogy, so those small little callbacks to the other one help solidify the link between them.
Okay.
Without being a direct continuation of one story. So to me, it doesn't bother me whatsoever.
No, I enjoyed it. Was it the first one? Simon successfully does it, Nick does it, and then in Hot Fuzz, does he clear it? I can't remember.
And in Hot Fuzz, he like flips and twirls over like three of them, and then Nick Frost just flashes and breaks through. Yeah.
In this one, he actually fails it. That too. Another famous line on there. Does anybody really know what robots mean? It means slave. Mm-hmm. They just keep going over that little bit here and there. But yeah, no, I I enjoy the little extras in there. The guy from Basil, the one from Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who drinks in the crazy straw. His little tidbit was... I enjoyed that. That was a nice little bit.
What now? Same as before.
Go!
There's a couple other thematic like ways of separating but keeping the same idea as the other movies.
Mm-hmm.
So color is a big thing in all three of them. The first one is all about red with the zombie movies. Hot Fuzz, I believe, is green if I remember right.
Really?
Even though the ice cream in this one's green. But the big color in this movie is blue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the movie that are wearing blue. The two characters from the party that get taken, both are the only two that are wearing blue.
I never noticed that.
Martin Freeman has, I believe, a blue tie on, and I believe Peter has a blue like sweater vest thing on.
Okay.
When the drug dealer gets the phone handed to him, the phone is a blue color. It's just all over the place. Even those signs that we're talking about, join the club.
Yep.
Blue.
I remember those being blue.
Yep.
I did like, however, the blanks, they were put together like dolls. I like that. Just because like the pieces that would just fit didn't quite make sense in the sense of movements and contortions. But yeah, whatever.
And how they smash so easily too, which is weird. Things I'm willing to look past though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are both kind of underrated, potentially. Simon Pegg obviously gets more work now with the Star Trek franchise and some of those other movies he's been in.
Little bits of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Unknown bit of Star Wars.
Right. Under a shit ton of makeup and costumes. But those two in that last scene are like, they're going hard. They're going hard in the acting paint, so to say.
Absolutely.
I kind of wish Nick Frost would be in more things. I feel like Attack the Block he was in, which was good, but
it's been a long time since I've seen that.
I just feel like he doesn't get the same amount of offers as Simon Pegg does. Maybe he doesn't want them. I don't know. It's the drug dealer. A lot of crossovers here. Drug dealers are a big thing apparently.
Everyone's going.
Anything else? Oh, I got one.
Go ahead.
Another connection. So Pierce Brosnan is in this, and he plays their old cool teacher guy. Yeah. And I do like how when he tells them to refer to him as his first name, they say it, and then they all start laughing. Reminds me of seeing Mr. Dennis outside of school, and see even now I just called him Mr. Dennis or Dennis. Like if I called him Mike, I'd be like, ugh.
He told me to call him Mike on my graduation party. He came over and he had a beer. My dad offered my art teacher a beer. And I'm like, you don't drink beer, you're a teacher. Yeah, teachers do have outside lives. And he's like, oh yeah, you don't have to call me Mr. Dennis, it's Mike. I'm like, okay, Mr. Dennis.
Can't do that, sir.
I just can't.
But Pierce Brosnan is in this. In Hot Fuzz, Timothy Dalton plays the bad guy who gets the thing there is. 2 James Bond people. Obviously, Pierce Brosnan is James Bond. I do not care what you say. He will be the only James Bond from now until eternity. Agreed. But also, Timothy Dalton was a James Bond once.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that was only like
just
once?
I think it was just, it might have been twice. I don't know. Fuck James Bond. Who cares?
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan. He is the James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
He has the highest kill count, too, if I remember correctly.
Even better.
Right?
He's very good at what
done.
he does. Yes. I'm just looking through my notes, and I think I hit everything one way or another.
I believe I have as well. I only had like a few gripes, and my only gripes is when they were hiding between the cars and the cars.
The cars.
Whew. Hiding between the cars, and that big giant like metal alien comes by and just completely misses them. Mm-hmm. He's like, I mean, you got a big giant eyeball, dude, and it's a light. Like, how did you miss him? But yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And the alien is one of the, or not the alien, but the statue robot is one of the few things that
felt a lot of place too.
Yeah, the way it moved was like real cartoony.
Mm-hmm. Could have just stuck with having all the people being blanks.
Yep.
Would have been alright. Yep. The Crowning Glory was the beer that they referenced in the first bar and the second bar, and I thought it was going to happen in the third one. I did enjoy, however, the hive mind aspect of towards the end when during the beginning of all the bars, the blanks are picking up information from each of the characters, and then towards the end there, that guy is pulling the information that was gathered before and using it against them. It's like, that's freaking brilliant. Like, whew.
He recites the same exact monologue that Simon Pegg said at the first bar.
Yes.
They have the honor of drawing first blood.
Yep. I really enjoyed that part. Kind of had me a mind-blowing moment. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot else. I have a lot of stuff written, but it's only because I was just writing during the film. Everything that was happening. The cinematography on this film is on point, by the way. The shots are great. Like, not just the cutaway shots, quick cutaway shots, but like...
composition.
Yeah, like when they're sitting in the cars or having conversation and just how it's all set up. I had no doubt, but I
really like
notice.
In the opening one when they're in the circle at the... It's like basically the AA meeting that he was at, or the help meeting, and it's like the shot above, and then it fades into the logo of the production company or whatever.
Oh, yep.
Focus Films or whatever it was.
Brilliant. But that's about all I got, I suppose.
Cool. Let's wrap it up. Hit us with that. What's the WTF moment?
Mine was the WTF moment in the film itself. Everybody just saying, "What the fuck?" Well, what the fuck does it mean? WTF? WTF? Well, what does that mean?
What the fuck does WTF mean? What the fuck? Oh.
And
the
then,
fuck?
Exactly.
Oh, right, thanks.
And then later on, fucking Gary starts using it, WTF. My runner-up for my what the fuck moment was the ending. It seemed so strange to me. I wasn't, like, when I first viewed it, I didn't expect it to be like, oh, so the world legitimately ended into an EMP apocalypse, and now he's telling the story over to a bunch of bums because it's the apocalypse. It feels disconnected to me.
It kind of, it takes a hard turn, for sure. I have that it's extra weird.
Yeah. Yep.
Say, my WTF moment, I have every time Omen says WTF. And I was going to list out every single one and say that was my moment, but I didn't feel like going back and looking at all those. Slash the statue. It's just... that's going back to the first time I watched it. I was like, why the statue, though? Why? The ending itself kind of goes on to the moral idea of even if robots are making life better, would we want that? I, for one, have said many times before, and I will say it many more times, that I welcome our robot overlords. And this movie solidifies exactly why it would be an upgrade from the way we live life. Everyone in that town that is not been replaced, so like those 3 people, 2 of them are doing good.
We're so happy.
There's 4 of them, actually. 2 of them are doing good. One of them knows what's going on. He seems to be doing all right. He's got Basil with the crazy straw. And then you've got the old drug dealer who's no longer a drug dealer and has a job. So improvement. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, they had to take over 93% of the town.
So how many people did you replace? Everybody who's human raise their hand. 4 people. It's like, oh, right.
I would have been fine with it. Everyone seems way nicer. Everything goes according to plan. Way more efficient. Just let them do it. It's whatever.
You're just saying that because Google is listening.
Fuck it. Google, take over. I don't care. Okay, Google. Could you please take over the world now?
Taking over the world? No way. I'd rather help you out.
See?
So sincere.
See?
All right. MVP.
That's your go. And also, favorite scene comes first.
Oh, everything comes first. My favorite scene is when Peter Page beats the shit out of his old bully. I just was like, yes. Especially when they first lock eyes, you immediately know shit's been going on, and then he goes on. It's not just because he did this or that because he did this, then that because he did this, and he just got his moment. And
boom, shots. And then what are you doing? I thought that was obvious. Another one of those moments. My favorite scene was the world's end. Like the whole talk at the bar fight, going down, talking to the robot, telling him to fuck off. Oh, he fucked off. I thought that whole thing was hilarious. And then finally, MVP.
Andy, easily. Just my favorite part is when he rips his shirt off and he just goes ape.
Yeah,
like
he really does.
He just starts flailing and beating, and whoo, so good.
If I was being super honest, it would have been Andy, but I put Pierce Brosnan Like, his character is so good, and then also anytime Pierce Brosnan or Jeff Goldblum is in a movie, they're automatically getting my MVP. And then I started having an internal struggle of, shit, what if they're both in the same movie? Who's better, Pierce Brosnan or Jeff Goldblum?
Are they in the same movie yet?
I don't know. I hope to never find out. Who's better, Pierce Brosnan or Jeff Goldblum?
I guess it really depends on the context.
I know. I think it's. I want to say it's Jeff Goldblum because I think of Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm. That's all I can think of.
But then I think of Pierce Brosnan in this, and I'm just like, fuck. Oh no.
What are you guys, dinosaur hunters or something?
I think my brain would just explode.
Dig up dinosaur bones. Yep. Jeff Goldblum's just got that voice though.
And the cadence. Mm-hmm. But Pierce Brosnan's voice, milky, buttery smooth.
I just can't see him as anything other than James Bond.
That's
honestly.
True. That's true. Other than this, I don't know that I've seen him in anything else that was something that stuck in my brain.
I think he was in that one movie where he's supposed to be protecting these people from, like, some
the tourist or whatever
company. Yeah,
yeah, I never watched that.
I saw bits of it, but that's the thing with Jeff Goldblum. Though I've seen him in multiple movies, and he always plays the nerdy guy, which isn't a bad part for him. Like Independence Day and.
He's in Thor Ragnarok, which I haven't seen yet. If we ever do that, I can tell you right now, he's the MVP.
You should. It's good. It's a good one. It's good. Well, I think that's it. Thank you for viewing, for voting, especially. By all means, please, next time you guys vote, give it a share. The more the more votes we get, I guess the more intense the battle. I don't know. Because I wanted to do more options, but like if you have more options and you get only 10 votes, and then it's left with like 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, and it's like, well, this is dumb. So the more people you get voting, maybe the more choices we can throw out there. Like if you do 2 movies, we'll do like FeBREWary and then Oscar movies. And if FeBREWary wins, we'll pit it up against something else maybe. Because we've got multiple themes for the month, so it's kind of hard to pick just 2.
Do you think anyone makes it this far?
Probably not. But maybe.
If you've made it this far, put WTF in the comments.
Yes.
Also, please. Conrad.
Brian. Calling you out.
I seen what you said. Anyways.
That being said, it's been real. We appreciate you sticking around watching. We'll see you next month.
Are we cheersing?
That's what I'm planning on doing.
Okay. I just want to be ready.
We'll see you for the second movie. Do you have that figured out yet?
I've got 2 in mind.
Well, after this posts, and we get that figured out, you'll see it on the channel, just because I like to kind of maybe psych you guys up. I don't know if the surprise element's just worth it anymore. If you see what it is, you guys have time to give it a watch. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it, review it.
Would you rather watch something really bad or something that you've already seen and you know is good?
I'd rather watch something I haven't seen. That way I might have more to talk about. Because like this one I've seen...
How many times have you seen The Big Lebowski?
Oh, shit. I've seen it twice.
What was the last time you saw it?
A couple months ago.
Get the White Russians ready. We're watching The Big Lebowski.
Yeah. Thank you, folks. Enjoy your evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Yeah.